The latest unilateral ceasefire declared by the FARC rebels in July has brought violence down to levels never seen before. However, testimonies in the countryside expose the fear that paramilitaries continue spreading across Colombian regions.
Why the fear? Well, simply because the paramilitaries don't hesitate to come and murder us. They continue disappearing people without leaving any evidence behind. They dismember their victims. That happens in this region.
That is just one of the testimonies that show the prevalence of paramilitarism. According to a recent report by the Movement of Victims of State Crimes, the Colombian state has not just failed to tackle the problem, it lacks of the political will to do so, and has even ignored its existence.
In order to dismantle paramilitary groups, we need to tackle their political structures, as well as their economic structures, meaning those who design the policy of the paramilitary groups, those who economically sponsor them, and those who one way or another benefit from paramilitary activities.
According to the same report, there are some 16,000 calls for investigation against civilians and state agents who have been accused by former paramilitaries of collaborating with their organizations. But public prosecutors have done little to bring to justice those who directly promote and benefit from paramilitarism.
In its investigation unit, the prosecution service has prioritized only those cases related to the crimes of the FARC. It has absolutely failed to include as priority cases for investigation those that have to do with the role of the military, of the economic and political powers, or anything that could lead to dismantling those crimes where state power is involved.
Especially after the possibility of a timely bilateral ceasefire was announced, many think it is imperative and urgent to start tackling paramilitarism. Otherwise, there could be a cessation of hostilities between the FARC and the military, but the violence against civilians would continue. Natalia Margarita, Telesur, Bogotá.
Guillermo Icaza is one of over 6 million Peruvians who are part of the privatized pension system known as IFP that was implemented during the wave of neoliberal reforms of the 90s in Peru. Like many pensioners, he feels cheated by the system.
I retired in 2005 because of a problem I had with an illness. I had at that moment about 14 years of contributing to the system. When I retired, I realized that the pension that was given was tiny and that forced me to continue working.
Congressman Johnny Lescano revealed that while many pensioners receive less than $2,000 a year, CEOs from AFPs are making around $400,000 per year, in addition to bonuses, stock, and other benefits.
The cost-effectiveness of the businesses is always positive. They always win, while those affiliated in their programs sometimes lose, and lose large amounts of money. The funds of the AFPs in the last 3 or 4 months have lost $2 billion, and businesses are the ones who manage that money, but they never lose.
The latest announcement by the AFPs is that since the life expectancy of pensioners has increased, all new retirees will be receiving even less cash every month. However, the several attempts to reform the system and make it more beneficial for pensioners have been put aside by the Pro-Business Congress. Rael Mora, Telesur, Peru.
Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan is hoping Sunday's snap elections will return single party, but most polls suggest his Justice and Development Party, AKP, will fall short of a majority and will be forced to share power, curtailing his ambitions of creating a presidential system aimed at consolidating his authority. Turkey's strongman has made no secret of his ambition to create a presidential system, a constitutional change almost impossible unless the Islamist-rooted AK party regains the majority it lost in June's election and dominates parliament. Most opinion polls suggest that AKP will struggle to win a majority on Sunday and be forced into a coalition, potentially with the main secular opposition Republican People's Party.
This will also show us that the people want a coalition government to rule the country, according to our political position today, and I think there will be a coalition happening in the end. Erdogan acts like he's a party on his own, and AKP is still connected to him. This is not a democratic approach. The president has some rights according to the law, but the law doesn't give him the power to rule the country all by himself.
Erdogan has cracked down on protests and clamped down on the media. Tensions have been boiling in the lead-up to Sunday's election. Police raided the offices of an opposition media company on Wednesday, forcing 2 television stations already taken off the air to stop broadcasting over the internet.
There is a great risk in Turkey. In the 2000s, Tayyip Erdogan always emphasized that Turkey has achieved stability and trust thanks to the AK party. But now we claim the opposite. Both the business world and society have lost trust, and the stability has been disturbed mainly because of Tayyip Erdogan, and this is a historical paradox, Incel said.
A Russian plane carrying more than 200 passengers crashed in central Sinai in Egypt Saturday. Russia has sent investigators to the crash site and declared a day of mourning after the Airbus A321, which had just left the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, bound for the Russian city of St. Petersburg, went off radar and ran to the ground. It is not yet known how many of the 220 on board were killed. Relatives of victims could be seen mourning at Pulkovo International Airport in Russia's St. Petersburg as news of developments in the tragedy was reported. Over 120 people marched through downtown Madrid Friday to protest against imperialist coups in Latin America and the Western media's disinformation campaigns against the region's progressive government. Both the U.S. government and Western corporate media have intensified their belligerent campaigns against Latin America's left, especially with countries like Ecuador and Venezuela. Protesters in Madrid say enough is enough.
We see how the American imperialism, wherever it places its boot, it places misery, misfortune, and sadly for the human beings. And we don't want to keep on being subjected to the information filters like with CNN, BBC, or Spanish television channels that distort the reality of our countries. We recommend people to contrast information, to compare the knowledge. We recommend and support RT and Telesur, and we congratulate them for their great work contrasting, because before these channels emerged, the manipulation was everywhere.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.